So are we ready?
This is Jay.
This is A,
And this is Mocksicated.
where we drop the booze and walk through the reality of life alcohol-free.
So grab your favorite mock, get ready to laugh, and let's get Mocksicated.
Hello.
Hi, Allie.
How are you today?
I'm good. New setting.
I know, our first time recording in here. If you're on YouTube, you can see. If not, then you don't have no clue.
It's even more exciting because we have a guest today, and this is a very special guest for Allie and I. This is someone that has inspired us through my entirety of my sobriety journey. So I would love for you guys to welcome Shea, the founder of No Booze Babes. Hi, Shea.
Hi. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, I was telling Shea before you guys got on that she was the first person, I guess, that for me showed a tangible way that I could have sobriety. And she's going to tell you all about her story, but I just want to let you guys know like how incredible and influential she's been, not just to me, but to Mocksicated.
Yes.
And so we are so excited to have you on. And why don't you just tell everybody who you are, a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you. I'm like so happy to be here. I mean, this is like what it's all about, right? Like connecting all of us and the fact that being alcohol free, like we would have never been in each other's lives. Like that's kind of the case for everything. That's a huge reason why No Booze Babes started. So I guess, hi, I'm Shea. I'm the founder of No Booze Babes, since we're talking about it. And No Booze Babes is the community that supports and celebrates an alcohol-free lifestyle. I always say it's like the alcohol-free party that everyone's invited to. Come and go as you please, as you would a party. I just want to be like a safe space where we celebrate, have fun. I think when I was drinking, I was glamorizing alcohol a lot. And I am a very social person. I like to go out. I like to dress up. I like to dance. I like to do all of the things. And alcohol was really getting in the way of that because then I would go home. I wouldn't remember, the vicious cycle. So I kind of started getting a little sober curious. And I, of course, turned to social media and I was like, is there another life out there for me? Like, I just was like, there's got to be something better than this, than what I'm doing. Because it wasn't working anymore. And I found some pages of people and I was like, oh my God, they look so happy. And they look like, their lives are continuing and they're thriving, they're successful. And so, yeah, I was like secretly following those pages and doing like breaks here and there. And it wasn't until I took a 3-month break from alcohol that really like changed the game for me. And I just kept extending that break and extending that break. And now I'm over 6.5 years sober, which is crazy. Thanks. And I started No Booze Babes at 6 months sober. So it's like quite a journey and a huge reason. I initially started with my sister who just celebrated 6 years. And we were like, oh my gosh, let's like, start something that's like a community. And originally we were like, we're both, people refer to their sober friends, their sober girlfriends as sober sisters. And I'm like, we're actual sober sister. Like were just so excited. And also I think wanted it to be something that was empowering. Like I said, glamorizing alcohol. I really wanted to glamorize being alcohol free because I was like, oh my gosh, I've never felt more fresh, more, comfortable in my own skin as time went on. And I'm like, it's so beautiful to be alcohol free. And like the negative stigma that sobriety has, I was like, we got to break that because, and just be one among many of the amazing voices, like, both of yours and stuff of just sharing about being alcohol free, sharing the ups and the downs and sharing your truth, because I think that that's what really allows people to see themselves in your shoes. That's what, when I was kind of typing sober curious and seeing like Millie Gooch from Sober Girl Society and all of these amazing women, I was just like, oh my gosh, like you can do all of these things and you can do it alcohol free. And so No Booze Babes kind of started. And I started sharing, and then Sid was like, okay, this is too much. Like you do your thing with No Booze Babes. And then we later had a podcast together during COVID. But I just really wanted it to be a community where you could come and you could, at the time, I think COVID happened short after it. And so, people weren't meeting in person and stuff, but I eventually, started hosting events and ways for people to get together. And I did like a virtual like sober thanks friendsgiving, and so we had like two different sessions and met up. And again, it's just the connection. It's just so key for people to not feel alone, because I know when I was kind of sorting through my feelings and sorting through like what I even wanted, it did feel very isolating. And I turned to people um, kind of close-ish to me that I knew were sober and kind of let it rip with like how I was feeling. And I think without that support, I probably wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be talking to you, that's for sure. So yeah, here we are.
And it's so cool to hear the timeline, because you are 6 months, you're 6 months more sober. I don't know what's your term. You've got 6 months on me. So right when, and I'm October 1st. So your sister and I are in the,
Oh my
same
gosh.
month. And I'm like, you really were at the beginning. And, we hear about so many people that came out of COVID looking for an alcohol-free life because of what, habits and all of the stuff that happened during COVID and the way that we were coping with everything. And sometimes when I tell people I got sober in 2019, they're like, wow, before the pandemic. And so to hear that you all started this and like thinking about that timeline, like how special was that for so many people that were struggling in that era and turning to alcohol, that you existed, you know what I mean? And I do think back to that time, and there was I followed Millie Gooch too, and all of these amazing women, but it was almost like y'all stood out a little bit more in that time because there was so much other stuff going on. And it's really incredible that you were there and that Thanksgiving. I do remember you. I don't know if I signed in or not, but I remember that Friendsgiving, and such a beautiful idea to bring people together.
Yes. And for me, I think when I started following you, because I'm an extrovert, and so being a sober extrovert, you're like, do I go? Do I not? Like, am I gonna hate myself at this place? Am I gonna enjoy myself? What's it gonna be like? But I want to be there. And I think seeing you just like there at the events, at the bars, at the thing, I'm like, I can go do these things. I just am not going to drink. I'm going to do them differently. I'm going to be, and like just that inspiring aspect. Like, yeah, I'm sure it was uncomfortable in the beginning, getting back out there, going to these events. Like in the very beginning, like we had talked a little bit before, like you texting your sister under the table, at certain things. But ultimately, like you, at least I didn't see you ever stop. It's like you're like, I'm a dancer. I want to go dance. I want to look cute. I'm going to wear the outfit. I'm going to these events. And just because I'm sober doesn't mean I can't attend these drinking events, And so I think for me, that was huge. You, like, without knowing, gave me permission. Like, you can go to the bar sober, you can do these things sober and still be true to yourself without, yeah, I don't know. But that was like a huge part. And then two, I just have to throw this in because I'm a content creator too. Your content is the best on, like, not even just sober life, like your videos, like when your last anniversary of your sobriety day, that video, like, I think I cried because it was so fucking cute. Like, and I'm like, how does she do that? Like, she's talking, then the music is starting, she's running, they're following her. Where is she going? Like the whole, and I'm like, was there a tripod across the street? Like, as the creator, I'm like, was somebody chasing her? Like, is she setting this up? Like just all of it. So I feel like just like the whole picture, like you're just so inspiring and you truly are. Like we've been told we're like the bright side of sobriety and the fun and colorful and all of that. But I feel like we can be that way because you inspired us to be that way, if that makes sense.
Yes. You guys, I've been
I'm
like so emo lately. Like
I'm
this, I'm like,
crying.
oh my God. Like, honestly, it's like I'm just so inspired by like you and like I've literally met some of my best friends through sober Instagram. Like it really is so powerful and like especially the women. Like I mean, my goodness. I mean, Nobu's Babes and I'm sure very similar to you. I'm like, especially when Nobu's Babes is like very pink and stuff, it's like powerful and colorful. It's mostly women who are like also there, also part of the community. And I think it's just so special. We all have each other. Like, I mean that every time I like hop on and I'm like, I am so grateful. I'm so proud of us because like we're doing it and we're doing hard things and we're doing it together. And like, I think it's just so special. Like, we're really lucky to have each other. So, like, I'm just so glad that like all of our journeys have like brought us to this very moment together. And like, I can't thank you enough for the kind words, but also like both of you as individuals and as a team have done it together. So it's like, kudos to you. And I'm proud of us.
Yes. Me too.
And I think it's so cool to hear that 6 months in, you started this because that can be such a vulnerable time for us in sobriety. And we haven't really talked about where you live. And I'm thinking about how challenging that must have been in that time. And also the industries that you're in. Allie and I both were servers, we were cocktail waitresses, but when we were in those positions was probably in our heaviest drinking times.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about where you live and like how that was navigating early sobriety and even into 6.5 years.
Yeah. Well, I live in New York City. I've been here for like over 11 years, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's a crazy city to be sober, and it's also become like the best city to be sober. And I mean, I'm sure there are other amazing cities, but I just feel like there's more like alcohol-free bottle shops and like alcohol-free bars popping up, and there's events, and I think it's just there's such a special community here, which I'm so grateful for. But like, rewind to like 6 years ago or so, like it was crazy. I moved here after college and I had every excuse to drink at the time. I was going through heartbreak with someone who I thought was like my person. And my parents got divorced. And you're finding your way. Like, I really felt like after college, I went to school in Boston. I studied musical theater. So theater brought me to New York City. And being a performer too, like it was interesting. Whenever I was in shows, I did not drink because I was like, I have to be on, I have to be this, I have to be that. And I'm like, why am I like thinking like, okay, just when I'm in shows, that's when I should take life seriously. I'm like, my whole life, I should maybe be like a little serious and like be more mindful. I don't know. But I was like, whoa. So yeah, I was like, and I was navigating just like being in the city and like finding my way. And I think I turned to drinking a lot when I was scared or when I didn't know what was coming up. And, when I was dating, all you did was drink on dates. So I was just like drinking and then regretting things and, hopping in a cab and not remembering how I got home. And I just like, it just became not great. And honestly, I didn't get sober until I was in a relationship, which was the relationship that broke my heart at the beginning of my like major drinking. And then we got back together. Like he moved here, we moved in together. And I think honestly, I don't know if I would have gotten sober or maybe it would have been later if it weren't for that relationship because although like we're not together anymore and stuff, like I didn't want to mess things up. It's different when it was like me stumbling back into my apartment and I was like alone and it wasn't affecting anyone else. But I think when I was living with someone and crawling into bed with them after working a long shift and drinking the whole shift, or or like falling asleep in the shower after my shift or all of this stuff. I'm like, ew, like who is this? I don't feel good. Like if we have plans the next day, and even if I'm like not fully hungover, but I'm cloudy, like I just so much guilt is like washing over me and like, that anxiety. And I just didn't like myself. And, we went to a wedding and that was kind of my like final straw of like, there was a whole open bar. I took full advantage of it. I was like an emotional mess. I was hungover for like 3 days. And I just was like, what am I doing? Like, I am in control of this. Like, I have no one to blame but myself. Like, I know how I drink. Like, I'm a very fast drinker. Even, I mean, we always have multiple beverages, but like, I'm even a fast drinker with like a seltzer. So like, imagine alcohol being in there and I'm not keeping track. So, yeah, I kind of, after that whole last straw wedding, I took like one sip of a beer. I remember this exactly. I was with my mom. We were at some like cool festival in San Clemente, California. I took a sip of a Corona and I was like, no, no, like I can't do this. And at the time I was like, I'm not drinking forever. Like that's crazy. Um, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do 3 months because I did like the sober Octobers, I did the dry Januaries, I did the 1 month, and then I just go back to the same exact pattern. So I did 90 days, and that was like really where I dove in and I like started reading like quit literature. I got rid of all the alcohol in our apartment. Because I remember in our New York apartment, we had like a huge wine rack that like we just had there. And um, I don't know why. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need to be drinking while we're making dinner, like every night. I don't need to do that and like forget the deep conversations that we have. Like again, more and more guilt of like, oh my gosh, what did we say? What do we, it's not cute. It's not fun. But yeah, just kind of like starting to like, I don't know, put those tools into your tool belt of like, okay, I'm like stalking. So when I'm reaching for something else, yeah, I have a wine glass, but it's a seltzer with a lime. Like I still get that feeling. I still get the ritual. Like I just started like building that up and building that up. And yeah. And then I launched No Booze Babes at 6 months. And I remember, even though this is before COVID, but COVID gave me the time to like, I was posting every single day. I just felt like revved up. I felt this new energy. I felt like creative. Um, and I was like writing poetry back in the day. Like I was learning new digital things because I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm able to celebrate this like new part of me. And I was just kind of discovering, I don't know, like more creative ways to share about like my story and share on No Boost Babes. So like thank you for, what you said about the content creation because it's funny. I think that what has helped me in my sober journey, especially in the beginning, is the fact that I'm an actor. So I'm like, I am going to act like I am confident going into this bar and I am going to, you know what I mean? Like along
Yeah.
with the tools I was gaining, along with me practicing or rehearsing what I was going to say to the bartender, like it really helped me. I was like, I can act like I'm confident in this, even if I'm like secretly texting my sister in the bathroom, like, oh, like they have one NA beer and it tastes like coins. Like, I just was like,
Tastes like coins.
literally tastes like coins. St. Polly's, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
Also, you're close second. But I just like I was just navigating all these things and I was sharing about them on No Booze Babes. And again, that's the beautiful thing of like people were chiming into my DMs or like commenting. And again, we were all in it together. And so you felt less alone and you felt like empowered and you'd kind of share like, yeah, I had a craving or yeah, again, you're feeling like you're not crazy because other people are like, I also felt that. And you're like, oh, okay. Like we're here. We got this. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of my New York story, but being in the service industry, yeah, I was drinking a lot. And I remember my first serving job I got as a sober person and like, you're learning all the cocktails and all that. And I just was like I was like, what do I say to them? Like, I'm not going to like try the alcoholic ones. You know what I mean? And it's just one like thing at a time that you like navigate and you figure out. Um, and then yeah, I feel like I was just a better everything when I stopped drinking. Like I was a better partner. I was a better sister, daughter. My poor mom was probably worried a lot. Like they live in California, 3,000 miles away. I'm sure she was like, not loving that she didn't know everything, but not loving that her daughter was 3,000 miles away, like drinking and getting into cabs. And I mean, I feel really lucky like that nothing bad happened, but like as women, there's just a different, it's our safety is also a concern when we're going out and we're drinking. And yeah, to not worry about that is pretty incredible.
Yeah. And I bet your mom has seen a Law and Order before.
Law and Order.
He
A
falls
lo-
asleep to it every night.
Me
I
too. I
swear she
knew
was
it.
a dum-dum.
Like, and I, like in my drinking days, I did fall asleep in an Uber and he didn't have the destination. And so he just drove around like kind of the area for a long time because he couldn't wake me up. And I always talk about how, what if I was in New York City, like, and that kind of thing. Like, I would always take it back to Law and Order, like, and so as a mom, well, no, because I am a mom, but no, like, as a mom being in California and seeing your daughter by herself in New York City, like, that's right where my brain goes. Like,
Well, and it's so interesting as we like get into sobriety and we get older and wiser, we look back at these situations that we put ourselves in that were truly so dangerous that like even in our most clear-headed, confident, like in check self, we probably wouldn't have put ourselves in those positions again. And so it is incredible. And yeah, I can't imagine how much my mom would have been
yeah,
worried
my mom
about
would,
me.
oh, moms.
Yeah, that is so when you were serving and you got back into it, was there ever any like triggering moments being around alcohol? Was there like a certain one or did you feel like you were able to act your way through those triggering moments as well?
I weirdly felt like when I was serving, I was like, okay, I'm working. I think getting a different serving job at the time was really helpful for me because I was no longer in the like kind of just with other employees where, we would like hide wine under the espresso machine in coffee cups. So I started getting sober at the end of that job. And I remember people being like, oh, are you not coming out? Oh, were you this? Because I was setting those boundaries of like, I know if I go out, I'll be tempted. I have a partner at home. Like that, again, that helped me. That rooted me like, oh no, I got to get home. You know what I mean? It really helped me at that time. Um, but yeah, getting a new job was super helpful. And honestly, like, yeah, navigating the questions and stuff, especially from like guests or customers was like different or like, oh, take a shot with this. Oh, I'm like, no. Again, acting my way through those moments of like, you don't know my whole life story and that like I was drinking like a crazy person. You know what I mean? Like, but I need to be like, oh no, finding my like little jokey ways to get out of like a weird conversation. Nowadays they'd probably hear my whole life story, um,
Me
but
too.
honestly, I found it like empowering, like and seeing like being able to like grab a tray of like alcoholic drinks and serve them. And I'm like, I'm literally holding what used to have such a hold on me. And I was just
Wow.
like, holy beep. I felt like powerful, because I was like, I could easily do something behind the bar. I could easily sneak something, whatever, like, but I'm not. And it felt like really good. And it felt good to, and this sounds bad, but like, I think seeing people get so fucked up, like, it just was a reminder, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like, I know I was messy when I drank, and no like shame to anyone who drinks, but I was just like, thinking about myself of like, oh my gosh, like the amount of times I said things or did things that I never would have done in like a sober in my sober life. Um and we through like a bunch of parties and holiday parties and people were at the open bar and all this stuff and I was just like God, I'm not like embarrassing myself in front of coworkers. Like I used to like make out with coworkers at holiday parties. I see you making out with the bartenders. Like I was a makeout bandit, really. Uh, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just so happy. I was like cleaning up confetti, like dancing after at 2 a.m. because I was just like, I'm fully present. I feel so good. Like it's just, I think I didn't realize how many times I'm constantly grateful. And I still have those moments of like, oh, relief that things have changed in my life.
it's just all when you were talking about that moment of like holding the tray, it just seems like alchemy to me, like taking this thing that was sent to destroy you and like holding it in your hands and feeling empowered and powerful, taking that power back from something that you can like physically see and hold is
Mhm.
such an incredible moment of alchemizing, your past. And
Yeah.
so that is so amazing. And again, why you are such an inspiration to all of us. And so you're not done, obviously. You have something amazing that is just started. So, would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. So me and my partner literally we're on week 12 as of tomorrow, launched a newsletter called The Dry Edit. So it is really, I kind of approached it as like, what is something that I want, something that I feel like is missing, that is like something I would want to read that's like easy, skimmable, fun, has personality, maybe, has a little opinion here and there. But it is really like an alcohol free industry newsletter, all the newest launches, what's going on, even, just like different polls that have come out, or like, hey, this is linked to like alcohol is linked to dementia, that all of the little things, all the little snippets that I think are important, especially for people who are sober curious or sober or just want to be kind of in the know. So it's kind of like the Cosmo of like alcohol free. I feel like the Cosmo magazine. I'm trying to like make it more like
Oh,
that.
it
And we
is.
learn every week, right? What's
Yeah.
really fun is like doing the research every week. And sometimes it's a little drier than others. I'm like, oh, the dry edit, perfect. Because I'm like, okay, we need some more launches. We need some more of this and that. But it's been super fun to kind of be in the know of like what's coming out, what are people doing in the alcohol-free industry, like what different events are going on. Because the alcohol-free industry is booming, we want to have just one place to have it all for you, easy breezy, free, like it's just a free resource. And that's, I always want things to be accessible, especially for people who are sober curious and maybe at the beginning of their journey, or maybe they're like, 6 years in and they're like, I just want to know what's going on. Like, ooh, actually, I'll add that to my cart, like for sure. So it's been really fun. I'm excited for it to continue to evolve, but we've been getting really good feedback, and um, it's just more good alcohol-free stuff. I'm like, bring it on. Like, I just want more
Yes.
and more, access to this info.
Well, I am a subscriber and I have not seen one dry
Dry
email
edit.
come through at all. So I hope that gives you a little piece because literally
Oh,
I've like everyone, and I mean, I get newsletters from like only people that I actually like. I'm like, I am not afraid to not subscribe. I'm like, no, I'm not subscribing to that. I get too many emails from my kids' school, from this, from that, like from work, like all of that. And that one I find like you're gonna laugh at this, but I literally like I want it printed. I want it mailed to my house. I
I would
want it
love
to look like the New York Times. Like when I'm
When you're
reading,
drinking
like
your
when I'm
coffee.
scrolling it, I literally like imagine my like, and I don't open it until I can sit and like have my coffee. I'm not just gonna scroll it while I'm on the toilet or like, wherever, like where I check other things. But no, for that email, I'm like, no, I want to open it when I can sit and enjoy it and not be distracted. I'm not at a soccer practice that I'm supposed to be paying attention to, just like
Yeah.
getting it out of my unread, like I do like even being in the community there, I'm like, what is this? Oh my God, like this is new. Oh my God. And so it really has like expanded even I'm like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that existed. This is cool. Ooh, a new flavor. Like it is, I feel like, especially for people in early sobriety, is going to be such a helpful tool. And
Yeah.
just, I want everyone to subscribe because I feel like now in society, we're subscribed to so many things. And it's like subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. But this one is one that's like, it really does like fill the cup. And I'm
Well,
like, I wait for it. I'm like, yes, it's Tuesday. Like I got this,
yeah.
or whatever.
The subscriptions these days are like to companies asking you to like buy more stuff, right? So to come back to this idea of like a newsletter of like Cosmo, it's so it made me smile so big because I am neurodivergent, so reading books is a little bit of a challenging thing for me. And I am like, gosh, what happened to magazines? I was thinking that I think probably like 3 or 4 months ago. And I used to love magazines. And I
I
think that
did.
that's why, like, I would devour a magazine. I would devour a Cosmo. And when you came out with this idea, I just was like, wow, I was so impressed because in a world, not that podcasts are bad, but in a world that is so visual and audio, to have the newsletter and like you said, like taking us back to sitting down, enjoying, taking in fun stories, facts, information, new things like that is so incredible and
Yes.
much needed in this, not just, for sobriety, but very much for sobriety at the
Yeah.
same time.
And in Cosmo, I always would check the horoscope at the very end. Is that Cosmo that had it at the very
Yeah.
end? And
I
so
love
when you came out, even with like the horoscope like drink or whatever, I was like, God, she is marking every box. She is covering it all. Like, yeah, no, I really I just love it. I think
Yeah,
it's the
it's
coolest
so cool
thing. It's really cool.
and free, and that is so important, to have these resources in situations that is potentially is life and death. To have a free resource is so beautiful. So tell everyone where they can come and subscribe.
Yeah, you can subscribe at thedryedit.com, but dry is spelled DRI, Dry Edit. And then, yeah, you can find me on Nobu's Babes. You can follow the Dry Edit on Instagram and subscribe right at the link in our bio. Thank you for all your kind words too, because it's like a work, as a two-woman team, like Nobu's Babes is my baby. It's like my one-woman show of like, I want everything to be for everyone, and creating the content, coming up with it, pitching it, it's so much, but it's so worth it when you hear that it's helpful for people, when you hear that it's fun. I'm like so glad that that's like being communicated, that like that's the effect it's having, because I'm like that's like the goal. I'm like I want people to see how fun it is to be alcohol free. I want them to see all the cool stuff that's going on in the industry. So thank you. It's for everyone, so I appreciate
Yes.
it.
Yes. Well, this is the perfect way, I think, for Mox to end Sober October because, as you mentioned, you've tried the dry January and the Sober October, and to set that 90-day goal was such an incredible intention from the start. And I think that there's so many listeners who can completely relate to that. So maybe if you did decide to do Sober October, or you, even attempted it, this is your sign to continue. Maybe next set a 90-day goal, subscribe to the Dry Edit, follow No Booze Babes, and see where it takes you. Because once you hit that 90-day mark, you might feel like a new person. So thank you so much for sharing all that with us, Shea. And thank you, from the bottom of our hearts. I'm going to get emotional because I truly don't know if Mocksicated would be what it is without you. So
It's
I
true.
just want you to know how much you mean to so many of us and this podcast. And all of our listeners are now going to go follow you.
Yes.
So go do it. We love you, babes. Thank you, Shea.
Talk
Thank you.
soon.